Now the game I'm about to show you was played between Sergey Dolmatov and Magnus Carlsen at the Aeroflot Open in Moscow in 2004. Magnus Carlsen was 13 years old then. He earned his Grandmaster title at 13, so by that time he was already no slouch. As for Sergey Dolmatov, to just highlight some of his achievements, he was World Junior Champion in 1978 and he earned his Grandmaster stripes in the year 1982. Between 1990 and 2000, that decade, he was one of the strongest players in the world with a FIDE rating of 2600. He was also World Championship candidate after the Manila Interzonal, but he was not able to proceed any further after being defeated by Artur Yusupov, a friend. He also has several tournament titles to his name and generally a very strong player. So on to the game. The game begins knight f3, f5, going for a Dutch setup. Now d3, d6, and e4. This is known as the improved Lisitsyn Gambit. And this kind of play against the Dutch is one of the strongest ways to play, trying to quickly gain control of the light squares and checkmate Black's king. Even systems that go h4, h5 against things like the Leningrad Dutch try to take advantage of the light squares quickly before Black can consolidate his position. So Dolmatov goes e5, now knight c3, knight c6, and Magnus takes on f5 with e takes f5. Bishop takes on f5 and d4, opening the center. Knight takes on d4, knight takes on d4, e takes on d4, and queen takes on d4. Dolmatov continues with knight f6. Now bishop c4, gaining control of the long diagonal, and c6, trying to gain control of the center by Dolmatov. Now bishop g5, pinning the knight on f6 to the queen, and b5. The bishop retreats to b3, and bishop e7, and this is simply the decisive mistake. This natural developing move dooms Black's king because the king will not be able to evacuate quickly enough from the center. As you can see, there is a bishop on b3 that has control of that diagonal, so kingside castles is impossible, and queenside castles is at least 2 moves away. And now Magnus castles queenside immediately and steps on the gas with rook h e1, pinning the bishop to the king. Dolmatov goes for king d8, and now the fireworks. Rook takes on e7, sacrificing an exchange. Queen takes on e7, queen f4, threatening the bishop on f5. The bishop retreats to d7, and now knight e4, pressuring f6. Dolmatov goes d5, and knight takes on f6. h6 now, attacking the bishop, bishop h4, and g5. And here Magnus simply goes queen d4 with an x-ray attack on the rook, and Dolmatov simply resigns. And now why does he resign? He resigns because there is nothing to play for anymore. For example, the most obvious move, just attempting to take the bishop on h4 is met with knight takes on d5, threatening the queen and the rook on h8. And in order to defend the rook and the queen has to move back, let's say to f8. And now even a move like knight b6 is already very devastating for black, because checkmate is threatened on d7, the rook on a8 is attacked. It's a triple attack on d7 even if you defend the bishop, and so the game is simply over. It was a very brilliant game by Magnus Carlsen, showing how to take advantage of the light squares in these Dutch-like setups. And of course, he was helped a little by his opponent in that he did not evacuate his king quickly enough from the center. But brilliant play nonetheless. Here, instead of bishop e7, in order to try to maintain a semblance of gluing his position together, Dolmatov could have tried a move like h6 now, which does threaten the bishop. Now queen e3 check and queen e7. Bishop takes f6, g takes f6, and castles kingside. Queen takes e3, f takes on e3. The bishop goes to d7 because it is attacked by the rook on f1. Now knight e4 going after f6, and something like bishop e7 and knight takes f6 check. Black is a pawn down, but his king is not getting mated, and it might still have ended in a loss for Dolmatov, but at least this offers a greater resistance. After this game, the legend goes that a long-time trainer of Kasparov, Alexander Nikitin, was watching the game, and he just took the score sheet and ran around the hall of the tournament, informing everyone breathlessly that it was the game of a genius. So that is just a small fun story from about the game. So thank you for your company, and I'll see you in another video.